What's going on, guys? It's Maddie here from DCLblogger.com. Thought I'd make a really quick video regarding the new voting proposal for land dimensions to change from 10 by 10 meters to 16 by 16 meters. It's been a lot of discussion in the Agora channel within the Decentraland Discord. So if you do wish to read up on what people have discussed so far and all of what people's opinions are, etc., etc., or if you want to contribute to the discussion, join the Decentraland Discord and go to the Agora channel. You'll find a lot of discussion has happened. It's actually been probably one of the most, if not the most active channel in the last week or so. Anyway, so the proposal actually is to increase the current land dimensions of each Decentraland parcel to 16 by 16 meters from 10 by 10 meters. So this is the Decentraland map. If you don't know already, each little pixel of land is 10 by 10 meters in base dimensions, so length and width, and 20 meters minimum in build height. Okay, and the more parcels you have joined together, the higher your build height will be. Now if you just take one pixel, then 10 by 10 meters, if you really think about it, it's a decent size, but when it comes to building experiences within the VR world, a lot of developers have given their feedback saying that a 10 by 10 meter land is a bit clustered, it's a bit cramped, a bit claustrophobic. It's not really that much of a fun experience if you want to build something decent. And if you realistically look at the prices of land, specifically for developers that are going to be the core of the value creators within Decentraland, having to spend $500 US or $1,000 US to get a piece of land where you can really just build 10 by 10 meters doesn't seem that appealing as 16 by 16 meters does. And if you really want to see what the size difference of 16 by 16 meters compared to 10 by 10 meters is, you can take a look at this kind of size comparison image here, and I believe each one of these boxes are 10 by 10 meters, which are the current size. And you can see here, this is almost seemingly four times the area of the first one. If you do the math, then 10 by 10 meters actually works out to be obviously 100 meters squared. If you do 16 by 16 meters, it actually ends up being 256 meters squared. So you get about 2.5 times the volume of build volume within a single parcel. Now, on first glance, this seems like an obvious choice to increase the build limits, because why not have larger area to build on? Oh, I think they've also put a little figurine, like a little image over here of like a little fox thing, and you can see it's over here as well. So you can see the scale of it. Like, there's not much room to move, but having it within here is a much larger plot, a lot more experiences that can be built. And I feel like this is more appealing. One of the concerns I had with Decentraland, especially for single parcels, which is probably going to be what the majority of investors or developers are going to own, is that they're just not going to be fun enough to build any fun experience. It's not going to be like, you're probably going to get bored of it. If you want to build a small mini game, then having it within a 10 by 10 meters doesn't seem like a viable solution. I'm not a developer. I have to make that thing very, very clear. Just from my observation of what I've seen so far, as someone that plays games here and there and has experienced some of the VR within the 10 by 10 meters, having 16 by 16 meters, it sounds like there's a lot more you can do with the scenes, a lot more you can do with the experience, which is going to be attractive to developers to come and purchase and develop on their land, which is the goal at the moment. So anyway, we can also try the demo. If we quickly try the demo. So here we can actually check out what the world is going to look like in a small 10 by 10 meter land. Now check this out, right? You can have a few chest boxes, few trees, but then what else can you have? It's just like a little place to showcase a few different things, and there's not really much else to kind of take a look at. There's not really much walking room, to be honest. You probably move past the parcel really, really quickly. And just recently, one of the most expensive or the most valuable lands sold for 400,000 mana, which translates up to about 15,000 US dollars. And although at the moment with all the land FOMO going on, seems like a good buy, but if you really think about it, when it comes to gameplay, like, does this really look like it's worth 15,000 US dollars, even if it is placed in a very high traffic area? Maybe it is, but I feel like the value proposition needs to be a bit better for developers. So if you turn around over here, we go to the 16 by 16 meters. There's definitely a lot more area you can play with. 2.56 the dimensions, the area, and like there's a lot more you can do, right? You can build a house, you can probably have some more walking space around the area. It's still kind of small, and there's still a lot of value in joining maybe another 2 or 3 parcels to make this maybe a 2 by 2, which in that case there'll be plenty of land to build on. But there definitely is a significant size difference at the moment. If we switch back to the blog, let's switch back to the blog, close this so it doesn't lag up too much. So there's a few arguments as to why we should keep the land the way it is, and there's a few arguments as to why we shouldn't keep the land as it is. At the end of the day, I kind of encourage you guys to read this blog post for yourself. But in terms of like Esteban came to Decentraland and he kind of provided a bit of a summary as to all the arguments that were proposed for and against this change or this proposal. And I'm going to go through some of these concerns with my opinion. My opinion is just one of many, many voices. I'm a land investor predominantly. I have some mana holdings. There are those that have more mana than land. There are those that are developing districts. There are those that are developing experiences. All of these people have different opinions, and they're all valid because they all have different challenges that they have to experience and take into consideration. So there's a lot to take into consideration when making the decision as to what side of the vote you want to be on. But larger individual parcels give developers more flexibility and room to build more immersive experiences on a small number of parcels, including room for pathways and roads between parcels. That's kind of what I went through just before, and we were able to kind of go through the scenes to have a preview of what it looks like. And you also have to think, guys, like the Decentraland team have some minds around them that are familiar with bigger game development. Some of the Zynga guys have joined, and maybe a lot of this is coming from some feedback, some advice from them as well that have more experience in building a larger world. So this proposal, there's a reason behind all this. Okay, larger parcels solve a cramped feeling experience from the early scenes developed for Decentraland. I feel that true as well. Larger parcels will allow the client to load fewer parcels at a time, increasing performance. That's true, because the parcel is like what you're going to be looking at. The parcel size is going to be much larger. So yeah, you're going to have to load fewer parcels at a time. Larger parcels will make it take longer to walk across Genesis City. Can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. More obviously much better to explore. Considering you can fly, guys, I really feel like discoverability will be a lot different to obviously how it is in the real world. How much different, we're still yet to experience. Arguments against increasing the parcel size. Already existing projects need to be adapted to the larger parcel size. Now, this doesn't really seem like a big issue for smaller developers that are working for themselves, but you have to take into consideration that there are districts that have been building for a long time, that have paid money to developers to build, given the current dimensions. And now they'll have to reinvest, maybe spend even more money and time to build and fill out, build 2.5 times the content to fill up their district land. And district owners and districts specifically are bound by contractual obligations with Decentraland and in general. So it is tough for them to continue to comply and continue to expect them to change and adapt. But I really feel, guys, just for the entirety of the Decentraland community and every investor out there involved in Decentraland, because we are involved at such early stages of a project that is hoping to be much bigger than any of us can imagine, there is going to be plenty of changes along the way. So depending on where you are situated at the moment, you really have to ask yourself, is this the role you want to take in the, the more risk you take within Decentraland, the more reward there can be at the end of the tunnel. But more often than not, there will also be more effort that will be needed to continue to have a chance of reaping those rewards. So I've invested obviously a decent amount of money within Decentraland. I've gone pretty heavy in land and mana, and I take that risk. I understand that Decentraland will evolve. I understand that there's a lot of challenges and hurdles, but I believe that with this momentum, community, and funding and everything involved, we are going to continue to make progress, and that's the bottom line. Whether that progress is quick or slow, I just feel like the momentum is strong enough for the pace to be a good pace. But there are other people that have just purchased one land or just some mana and have invested and are watching on the sidelines, and may invest later once the world opens and things are a lot more kind of straightened out and more understood. They'll obviously take less risk, but they'll be paying a lot more for the land because, again, it's less risk, less reward. So we really have to understand that risk is big at the moment, and also the amount of changes that we'll probably experience is a lot more because the project is still taking shape. It's still not formed at all, really. Like, the world hasn't even opened. There's still so much to consider. So expect a lot of changes, expect a lot of things to come out that need our discussion, feedback, and continuous improvement. With that said, let's keep going. Larger parcels will make it take longer to walk across the city. Just went through that. Some early investors think that larger parcels reduce the value of their purchased land. Okay. Now, on that topic, with early investors thinking that larger parcels reduce the value of land, I think the majority of value or price, especially, like, this is for landowners. This point here is speaking specifically for landowners. Your land is only going to continue having value or grow in value if or as demand for land within Decentraland increases. And there's going to be a point where it's only going to be so much, it's only going to grow to so much without the world opening. But once the world opens, there needs to be, I feel like the community that is going to drive the price or the value of your land the most is going to be the developer community. It is going to be based on how immersive, how fun, how addictive these virtual experiences are. Are people going to want to revisit and daily participate, check out experiences, play games, and interact with the rest of the crypto community? It feels like there's a lot of potential, and I have a lot of faith that that will happen. But I feel like beyond that point, that will attract a whole new different type of community. The developer community will see that and really want the masses to come, right? We really want a bunch of VR builder enthusiasts to come, purchase land, build, rent land, build whatever it takes to build their experiences. So having or making a proposal that creates more value and is more attractive in terms of building or increasing the build dimensions from 10 by 10 meters to 16 by 16 meters will be a lot more attractive to new developers. And if that's the case, then I think long-term wise, it's a really good decision. And this particular point, some early investors think that larger parcels reduce the value of their purchased land. There's going to be a point where buying land isn't that fun anymore because, it's really like beyond a certain point, it's going to be the utility of the land that's going to drive the prices. Right now, there is no utility of this land. There's just pixels on the screen that we're buying and selling, we're holding on to, hoping that traffic's going to be X, our investment's going to pay off, etc., etc. So I personally think that the demand increasing is what's going to increase the value of land, which is only true, right, in basic economics. So that anything to increase that demand or the potential towards that demand, then I'm for. Landowners with irregular shaped estates might have more difficulty in filling their increased holdings with content. Some feel that it is too late in the project for this change. At the end of the day, like I said, this project is going to continue to evolve and take shape. We're still in such early days. The world hasn't even opened yet. It is probably late in terms of people that have been building for a long time and have invested a lot of money, strategy, and time, everything, a lot of resources they've invested in building within these dimensions. And I understand the sentiment at this point, although I'm not part of that community. I'm not a developer. I don't really frequently check out what's happening there. But like this change, I feel like it is better long term in terms of creating Decentraland far into the future. I'm thinking like 2 to 3 years into the future, even 5 years into the future. Will there be a better experience exploring these lands at 16 by 16 meters? I feel like there will be. Aspects that won't change, triangles or entity count limits will remain the same. So I don't know if that means that the quality of content may remain the same, which in fact it might reduce because it's a larger parcel, so relatively less triangles. Not too sure about that one. The beta release date of the client will not be impacted by this change. That's a good point. Okay, so there's a few arguments to and against. I do encourage you guys to join the Agora channel and participate. Also, you can vote here. There's another big discussion going on, whereas how should mana be the only currency used to allow voting? Should it only be should decisions only be made from people that hold mana? Which obviously for people that have invested a lot of their mana into land, seems a bit unfair, because you could be a big whale with 5 million mana, just come in, make a vote, and then exit. Obviously, I would highly doubt that's going to happen, but the attack floor is there. Whereas landowners probably are more invested into the world because they're holding their land for multiple reasons, and they do deserve some form of voting. I don't think this will be solved at any in the near future, but I do believe it needs to be solved, because as landowners or as mana holders, land and mana fall under the Decentraland banner, and they both need a say in the direction of Decentraland. Anyway, guys, a lot to kind of go through. I think it's good we're having so much discussion. It's good there's so much opinions. It's great that there's so much against and for. It's what's going to make Decentraland better long term. Alright guys, I'll catch you in another video.